Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 5 of the SJP Files. I am your host, SJP. Thank you very much for listening to the pod this week. Now, this episode was supposed to go up yesterday after the NBA Christmas Day games, but a couple of things happened that prevented me from recording, so I'm recording today on Sunday. So I'm going to go through the Christmas Day games. I'm going to go through some of last night's games, and I'm going to go through some of opening night's games. So, first of all, we're going to go on the first game of opening night, the Golden State Warriors versus the Brooklyn Nets. Now, this game was very. I know I said on the last on the last episode, that I wasn't able to watch this game, but actually, they played a replay on TNT right after the Lakers Clippers game. So I was able to catch the entirety of this game, and the game played out very much like I believed it would, with the exception, actually, not even the exception, with I don't really know how to describe it. The Golden State Warriors they're, they're a bad team this year. They're terrible. They are terrible. Steph Curry, 7 for 21, 33% from the field, 2 for 10 from 3-point line. I mean, he did have 10 assists, which is great for him. But this is a bad team. Kelly Oubre played like Kelly Oubre. He gave you one of those classic Kelly Oubre games where he has one of those spectacular putback dunks or has a spectacular posterizer, but the rest of his game was non-existent. He went 3 for 14, 0 for 6 from 3. The one Warrior that did have a good game was James Wiseman. In his debut, played a little over 24 minutes, 7 for 13 from the field. He scored 19 points in his rookie debut. I think he had a really good game, had a really good showing. He showed kind of what people believed they would see in college. He only got to play 3 games because of the ridiculous NCAA, you know, rules and regulations or whatever. But he really showed a lot of people something. A very solid player. He hit a jump shot. He could hit a three. He's got an offensive game. He needs to work on his defense a little bit, but overall, he had a very good showing. And the other guy on this team that, I was talking to a friend of mine at work who is an ardent believer that Andrew Wiggins is not a great player. Okay, I take that back. He said Andrew Wiggins is a good player who just needs the right coach to unlock him. And Andrew Wiggins is, what's the word I'm looking for? Terrible. 31 minutes, 4 for 16, 2 for 6 from 3, 2 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 block, 4 turnovers, minus 28, 13 points. What more do I have to say about Andrew Wiggins? I've been saying this for years. He's so bad. He's terrible. He's trash. He's just trash. Andrew Wiggins is a volume scorer who doesn't play hard. He just doesn't play hard. He's a volume shooter who's not nowhere near efficient to shoot as much as he does, and he does nothing else on the court. He's not a great rebounder. He's not a great defender. He's not a great playmaker. I mean, in 2 games, 12 and a half points, 4 rebounds, 0.5 assists. Dude's been in the league 6 years. This is who he is, man. And I know a lot of people want to say, man, he just needs the right guy. Andrew Wiggins, if Steve Kerr isn't the right guy, I don't know who is. Andrew Wiggins, man, Steven Jackson said this a couple years ago. He ain't got no heart. He doesn't love the game. He's just there. He's empty stats, empty calories. And right now, he's not even empty calories right now. Man, the Warriors are gonna have the worst gonna have the worst record in the league this year. Because through 2 games against, the Brooklyn Nets, and the Brooklyn Nets and who the hell is the Milwaukee Bucks. Oh my god, that's weird. 2 games, 2 blowouts. They look horrendous. They look horrendous. And from what I can see, there are no tradable assets on this team. I know I said, hey, you might want to trade Kelly Oubre and Andrew Wiggins for and some draft picks for James Harden, but if I'm Houston, I don't want Andrew Wiggins. I don't want Kelly Oubre. Both are inefficient volume scorers who do nothing, who basically do nothing else. Kelly Oubre is a fantastic athlete, but he's far too inconsistent. And Andrew Wiggins, I really don't know what else to say about him. I I can't stand him. That much talent, number one overall pick talent, but Andrew Wiggins doesn't really care about the game. He just doesn't. He you'll hear people talk about him like if he just gives enough effort. You should never have to ask a professional athlete with that much talent to give more effort. He just doesn't care. He doesn't. And his game on Christmas Day against the Milwaukee Bucks was no better. 6 for 18, 0 for 4 from 3, 6 rebounds, no assists, 1 steal, 1 turnover, 12 points, minus 19. James Wiseman, another good game for him. 25 minutes, 5 for 11, 3 for 4 from 3, 8 rebounds. I love James Wiseman. I've watched 2 of his games, and he he looks great. He looks he is so talented from top to bottom, and I know he's splitting minutes with what's his name, Eric Paschal or whatever the hell his dude's name is. But he should be getting the lion's share of the minutes at center. He needs to be, not only does he need to be starting, he needs to be getting like 30 plus minutes a game because he deserves it. Steph Curry, another bad game. 6 for 17, 2 for 10 from 3. 4 rebounds, 6 assists, 19 points, minus 24 on the court. I mean, Steph has never had to be what some of his contemporaries have had to be. He's never had to be the guy to take an under talented team and drag them to the playoffs. He's always had a lot of talent around him, and this is going to hurt his legacy. And I don't think it should, but it will. This is going to take the people who don't believe that Steph Curry is a top 15 player of all time, which he is, greatest shooter ever, but he's gonna be labeled as one of those guys who are system guys who can only succeed when certain people are with them. Like I said last week, him and Klay Thompson have basically been attached at the hip since Klay was drafted. So this is really the first time we've seen this version of Steph Curry without Klay Thompson, the MVP Steph Curry without Klay Thompson, and they don't look good. DeAndre, shit, what's the dude's name? The fuck, I'm losing. I cannot remember his name. The defensive player from Golden State. Fuck, I cannot remember the dude's name right now. It's escaping me. Draymond Green. Fuck, that took forever. Anyway, Draymond Green hasn't played in 2 games. They're This is a bad team, man. This is a bad team, and I feel sorry for them, but is what it is, man. It is what it is. Now, in their game against the Brooklyn Nets, Brooklyn looks amazing. They look unstoppable. You got the starting lineup was, Draymond Green starting at center. You had Kevin Durant at essentially power forward, Joe Harris at small forward, Spencer Dinwiddie as the two, and Kyrie at the one. This game was basically a blowout from jump. You got Karis LeVert coming off the bench, Jared Allen and Landry Shamet coming off the bench, Jeff Green coming off the bench, Turian Prince. They're about what, five, six, seven, eight, nine. They're about 10 deep. The Brooklyn Nets are without question the deepest team in the Eastern Conference, and it's not even close. Kevin Durant only played about 25 minutes, 7 for 16 from the floor, 1 for 2 from 3. KD looks like he hasn't really missed a step. I know it took him a little bit to kind of get into a groove, but he looks great. He looks like what he was 2 years ago. He looks like the second best player in the world to me. And I don't think Kevin Durant will ever be recognized as the best player in the world because his injuries and his age, because I think that that title will most likely either go to Giannis or Luka. I think they're the next two guys up, and I feel like Kevin might have missed his chance to be the best player in the world, and Kevin might have been the best player in the world. I know a lot of people. I've heard people say it. I don't believe it. That 3 year run with Golden State. I'm not gonna lie. I don't give him enough credit for that because I feel like him joining Golden State tarnished. Ugh, can't believe I can say that word. Tarnished his legacy a little bit. I know he got two champions from that, three NBA Finals appearances, but him joining the 73-9 Golden State Warriors team that had just been to the NBA Finals back to back years, it didn't sit right with a lot of people, and his attitude during that time also didn't sit right with a lot of people. But I think that's kind of over and done with now. I mean, Kyrie Irving was in his bag all game long. 10 for 16 from the field, shot 62%, hit 4 out of 7 threes. He only had 4 assists, but 26 points. He was plus 32 when he was on the court. Kyrie Irving looked like the best player on the court last night. He just did. Yeah, Karis LeVert coming off the bench, who is an all-star level player for any other team in the Eastern Conference. He's a starting all-star level player. And they look, I'm telling you, man, the Brooklyn Nets look like the best team in the NBA right now. They were engaged on defense. Kyrie Irving was engaged on defense. If Kyrie specifically, because I believe I said this last week, Kevin Durant has never been a player that's injury prone. Now he has been injured, but he's not injury prone. Kyrie Irving is a guy who is injury prone. He gets hurt a lot. Now if Kyrie can play, now Kyrie only played 25 minutes because they got blown out because they blew out the Golden State Warriors, and Kevin Durant only played about 25 minutes because once again they blew out the Golden State Warriors. And in their second game on Christmas Day against the Boston Celtics, once again Kevin Durant looked like himself. He looked like he was the best player on the court. Well, yeah, he looked like the best player on the court. He's the most effortless scorer I think I've ever seen in the NBA. I thought Carmelo Anthony was that, but Kevin Durant's got like good what? Kevin Durant's almost 7. Kevin Durant is actually 7 feet tall. He's 7 foot tall. He's got the handles of a guard. He has the range of a sharpshooter. Can pull up from pretty much anywhere on the court. There was a couple plays where he pulled up on Tristan Thompson, and there was nothing Tristan could do. He's just he's virtually unstoppable on the offensive end. And Kyrie Irving once again in his bag all game long. And this game was the Nets Celtics game was pretty close going into the third quarter. And by the time the by about I want to say what 7 minutes left in the third quarter, Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant took the game over and showed everyone that offensively they are two of the most unstoppable offensive players in the game. Kyrie Irving may be the most skilled offensive player the game has ever seen. 13 for 21 this night, 61%, 62% from the field, hit seven threes. Kevin Durant, 9 for 16. He hit three threes. Joe Harris hit a couple shots. Spencer Dinwiddie, Karis LeVert came off the bench again, gave you good minutes. Kyrie Irving, 37 points. Kevin Durant, 29 points. The Celtics played a good game, though. They were good on the defensive end. Jason Tatum he had 9 for 22, which was not a good night offensively. After his, game winning shot against Milwaukee on their opening night. But I feel like Tristan Thompson played a good game. I think he was something that they very well needed. Jaylen Brown had a good game. Marcus Smart had a good game. But I think they're just outmatched. I don't think they have the offensive firepower to go toe to toe with Brooklyn, nor do they have the defensive stoppers to actually stop Brooklyn. Because as good as of a defender as Jason Tatum is, he's not stopping Kevin Durant. And as good of a defender as Jaylen Brown and Marcus Smart are, neither of them are stopping Kyrie Irving. So the Nets very much look like the favorite in the East, the favorite to come out of the East. The real question is, how much has Giannis Antetokounmpo evolved in his game? Because if he's not, because I know in their opening night against the Celtics, he tried some different things in the post, and he looks better. He looks like he's really trying to expand his game after that huge contract extension he got, that super max. He's trying to expand his game, and I can't be happier. I want to see him be more of a in the half court. I want to see him be more of a Orlando Magic Shaq type player who can just bully you on the inside. And this year, I mean, he's not gonna really have the chance to evolve his game. It's gonna be pretty much, you know, play by feel this entire season. But in the off season, if I'm him, I'm trying to get a hold of one of these older guys. I'm trying to get a hold of Hakeem Olajuwon. I'm trying to get a hold of Shaq. I'm trying to get a hold of Tim Duncan. I'm trying to get a hold of some of these guys who can teach me their post games, because Hakeem Olajuwon may very well be the best post player in the history of professional basketball. Now, they blew out the Golden State Warriors, completely crushed them. Giannis did not have a good game. He was 4 for 14, 0 for 3 from 3, 7 for 15 from the free throw line. Now, Giannis is generally a 70% free throw shooter throughout his career, but he had a bad game. And Drew Holiday is not a big scorer, but Chris Middleton, he kind of put the team on his back. And, he gave the Golden State Warriors the business. Hit 10 for 15, 6 threes, 31 points. He had a very, very good game. So did Dante DiVincenzo, White Dante. White Dante had a very good game himself, 5 for 8, 13 points. He was kind of the linchpin in that Bogdanovich trade that fell apart. But this is going to be a rough year for the Golden State Warriors. They're just not going to have it this year, and it's a shame. I was really hoping that with Steph and Clay back together, that they would be in the hunt for maybe the upper echelon of the Western Conference, one of those top five standing slots, and that's not going to happen this year. They're going to be in the lottery again, and this is going to do some damage to Steph Curry's legacy, and it's a shame. Second game on opening night was the LA Clippers against the Los Angeles Lakers. Now I know in in the last episode, the preview for the opening, I know I said that the Lakers were going to crush the Clippers, and that's not what happened. The Clippers won the game. Good God, that hurts to say. The Clippers won 116 to 109 for fuck's sake. Oh yeah, by the way, the score for the Warriors Nets game was 125 to 99. So, blowout. But the Clippers Lakers game, the Clippers shot out to a big lead in the first quarter. I believe they were up by 20 by the end of the by the end of the sorry. By the end of the first quarter, they were up by like 20 points. And the most shocking thing for the Golden State for the LA Clippers is the fact that in 2 games, Nicholas Batum is getting serious minutes for this team. The same Nicholas Batum who's been arguably the worst, well, one of the worst basketball players in the NBA. The same Nicholas Batum who practically stole $100 million from the Charlotte Hornets, but they're kind of shorthanded with Marcus Morris not being available right now, and he hasn't played terribly. 6 rebounds, 6 assists. He only went 1 for 4 from the field on opening night, but in their game against Denver on Christmas night, he went 5 for 8, 2 for 5 from three. He had 10 rebounds, 13 points. I still don't like him, but the Clippers did play well, especially Paul George, who kind of had a step up game. He looked like the best scorer on the court last night, and he was very much. I feel like what people were talking about, pandemic P. I feel like that motivated him a bit, but once again, I don't care. I have never doubted that Paul George is a great player. I've never doubted that he's one of the about 10 to 15 best players in the league. Well, 15. He's probably in that top 15 current players in the league, but his immediate problem is not him in the regular season. I could care less. He could average 30 in the regular season, and I could still care less. 30, 35, and I would still care less. Paul George's problem is, can he show up in the playoffs? Can he give you a complete playoff series? Because his issue is 1 or 2 games a playoff series, he's going to throw out an 8 point, like 5 for 21 game. And that's not even actually quite possible. But still, he's gonna throw you one of those stat lines, man. Where he hits like 3 shots, 3 for 21, scores 8 points, and basically just disappears. Or he's gonna give you one of those games where he's like 2 for 5 with like 9 points in the NBA playoffs. And that's their biggest issue. And I said this last week. If they don't win a championship, one of these guys is going to be gone. Now, Kawhi Leonard did not have a good offensive game. 10 for 26 from the field, 1 for 8 from three. Yeah, he scored 26 points, but terrible shooting percentages. Terrible. Serge Ibaka played good minutes. Ivica Zubac gave him some time. Lemon Pepper Lou didn't exactly play great. Neither did Luke Kennard on opening night, but apparently, they should be better. But apparently they played better against the Denver Nuggets. Now, I didn't catch the whole Denver Nuggets game, mainly because I didn't care. Because I had a feeling the Clippers would win. They started out 2-0. The Lakers themselves got off to a very slow start. LeBron James only shot 7 for 17, 3 for 8 from three, which is good for him. 5 rebounds, 5 assists. He had 22 points. Anthony Davis, LeBron only played 28 minutes. I think he didn't play most of the fourth quarter. Anthony Davis, 30 points, 53 minutes. No, he had 30 minutes, 30 minutes and 53 seconds, 8 for 15 from the field. He had some really good shots. He had what 7 rebounds, 2 assists. He had some really difficult shots to kind of get them back into the game. No, Kyle Kuzma was great off the bench. Alex Caruso. The trick for the Lakers isn't gonna be their offensive game. Their main issue, the Lakers' main issue is going to be figuring out rotations, figuring out who plays well with who. That's going to be their main problem for this team this year. Their issue is how can I adjust this lineup to figure out who works well with who? Because this, like I said, this is a deep team. They're about 12 deep, deepest team in the league. The problem is figuring out their rotation, figuring out their minutes. That's what their season is mostly going to be about. They're going to win a lot of games mainly because they're just more talented than the other teams in the league. Offensively, they're going to be one of the better teams in the league. They're not the same defensive team that they were last year because they're not as athletic on the front line as they were last year. Montrezl Harrell, Trez isn't exactly a great defender. He's super athletic, super good energy guy, but he's not a great defender. Marc Gasol is a great defender, but he's not what he once was. So I would have loved to have seen them keep Dwight Howard, but Dwight, he kept it moving and went to Philly. I think he should have stayed in LA, get himself a chance to win another ring, but more power to you if you feel, Philly's the best place for you. Kyle Kuzma played well after getting his contract extension. So it's going to be up to that for them. Now, the Lakers also play the Dallas Mavericks on Christmas Day. LeBron James and, sorry, adjusting my seat. LeBron James and Anthony Davis playing up against Luka Doncic and the Dallas Mavericks. Now, Luka did not have Kristaps this game. Kristaps not going to be available until January. So he was pretty much in on it on his own, but he had a good game 9 for 19, 2 for 5 from three, 7 for 8 from the line, 4 rebounds, 7 assists, 27 points. Their problem is simple. The health of Kristaps Porzingis. If he's healthy, they're the second best team in the Western Conference, bar none. If he's healthy, they're the second best team in the Western Conference. I truly believe that, and I believe Luka's going to win the MVP this year. If Kristaps can't stay healthy, they're in trouble. Now on the Lakers end, they they had another good game. Now they started to pull away. They started to pull away in, I want to say, what was it, the fourth? They led pretty much the whole game, but this was one of those another blowout because they won 138 to 115. Like I said, the Lakers are not as good defensively as they were last year. But overall, I think they're a better team than they were last year. LeBron James, 31 minutes, 22 points. Anthony Davis, 30 minutes, 28 points. Efficient basketball from both of these guys. You know, Marcus only took like what, one shot, 1 3. He played 20 minutes, but he had 9 rebounds. Contavious Caldwell Pope, 8 points in 25 minutes. Dennis Schroeder, same thing. Montrezl Harrell, 10 for 13. He had 22 points off the bench. He's going to be in the 6 man of the year conversation again this year. But like I said earlier, their issue is going to be figuring out their rotation. That's their issue for this year. That's the only thing that really matters for them. Now, back to the opening night game. This game really doesn't tell me much because the Clippers won the first 2 meetings against the Lakers last year and then fell flat on their face in the NBA playoffs. So this doesn't bother me one bit. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to take a quick break and then we're going to go on to the New Orleans Miami game. See you in a minute. All right, welcome back. Now, as I was leaving, I was talking about the LA Clippers, but I've kind of decided that I'm kind of tired of talking about them. They know what they have to do, and the Lakers know what their job is. It's to stay healthy, it's to build chemistry, it's to figure out their rotations and who's going to get minutes and repeat. That's their job. That's the only thing that really matters to them. Now, the first game on Christmas Day was the New Orleans Pelicans against the Miami Heat. Now, the Heat won this game 111-98, and the this was a interesting game because the New Orleans Pelicans pretty much shortened their rotation a lot for this game. They got a lot of young players, so you had a lot of guys playing 30 plus minutes, 30, 35 plus minutes. You know, Brandon Ingram played 37 minutes. Zion Williamson played 38 minutes off his restriction from last year, which I am very happy to see. Steven Adams, playing 32 minutes, which is interesting. Lonzo Ball, my pick for most improved player of the year, did not exactly have a good game. 2 for 8 from the field, 2 for 8 from three, all 3 pointers. Eric Bledsoe also did not have a good game. JJ Redick didn't have a good game. Josh Hart had a good game, no. No, 5 for 10. He played almost 30 minutes. Brandon Ingram, 7 for 17, 4 for 8 from three, 28 points. He's shown himself to be one of the premier scorers in the NBA this year. Zion Williamson on his Christmas Day debut looked phenomenal. 11 for 20, he missed a 3 pointer, but he hit 10 of his 15 free throws, had 14 rebounds, scored 32 points. He had a very explosive Christmas Day game, and I'm very happy to see that he's kind of playing minutes now. I'm happy to see that that Stan Van Gundy has pretty much taken the handcuffs off of him and just say, go. And I think it's going to be good for him. Like I said, I think they're going to be in playoff contention this year in that 7 to 10 spot in the Western Conference. Now the Miami Heat themselves, Jimmy Butler left the game. I want to say he didn't play the whole game. He played like halftime. He played what? Yeah, he played his 16 minutes all in the first half, and then played zero in the second half. So we're gonna see what's up with him in this couple. I think he's fine though. But he didn't have exactly a good game. But Jimmy Butler doesn't always have a great offensive game for the Miami Heat to win, which is what happened here. Bam Adebayo had a good game. Duncan Robinson hit like I want to say like 6 threes in like the first quarter of this game. Let me check that real quick. Yeah, he hit 4 threes in the first quarter of the game, and then 3 threes the rest of the game. Yeah, he hit 2 more threes in the third quarter, in the second quarter, not the third quarter. He was just rolling off of screens all game. Had Josh Hart chasing him all game, and I think the late layoff is going to be very good for the Miami Heat. They're still a young team, relatively speaking. Most of their players are relatively young. Bam Adebayo, Duncan Robinson, Tyler Hero, they're all under 25 years old. So I think they're going to have I think this is going to be good for them. I think they look like the team that made it to the NBA Finals, with the exception of Jimmy Butler not playing the whole game. I fully expect them to have a very good showing in the NBA season this year. They're going to be one of the top 4 teams in the Eastern Conference without question. They're going to be in the mix with Brooklyn and Milwaukee and Boston. I think they're probably going to be the 4th team because I'm not sure about Toronto yet this year. I haven't really had a chance to catch any of their games, but I know they lost to, I believe it was the Oklahoma City Thunder on like a game winning shot or something like that. But I haven't really had a chance to watch them play, so I haven't really made my decision on where they're going to end up in the Eastern Conference standings. Now, they were the first game. The second game, I've already talked about the Golden State Warriors against the Milwaukee Bucks. Milwaukee blew them out. Another blowout. Is another yeah, the Miami New Orleans game did end in double digits, but I wouldn't really consider that game a complete blowout. But they did lose. That was a blowout. The Milwaukee Bucks completely blew out the Golden State Warriors 138-99. Made it look like they didn't even belong on the same court. James Wiseman, I said earlier, had another good game. Andrew Wiggins and Kelly Oubre Jr. failed to show up. Really failed to show up. Kelly Oubre does play hard, which is one thing I like about him. He's a streaky shooter, but he does play hard, unlike Andrew Wiggins, who just doesn't play hard. He's a streaky shooter and doesn't play hard. My God, how does this dude? I know people just keep giving him chances, but I can't stand this kind of waste of talent. It's so infuriating. Uh, I did talk about the next game was the Boston Brooklyn game. I did talk a bit about that earlier, but that was also a blowout. Brooklyn 123-95. This game was pretty close until about 7 minutes to go into the third quarter, where the two best players on the court took the game over and just blew the doors off the Boston Celtics team. And that was Kyrie and KD. Next, you had the Dallas Lakers game. Also talked about that earlier. And there's nothing much more to say. Once again, both of these teams know what's at stake for them. For the Mavericks, it's can Kristaps stay healthy for the length of the season. For the Lakers, it's figure out your rotation. Next, we had the Clippers Denver game. Now, I didn't really talk much about this game. You know, Kawhi Leonard had a good game, but he did get damn near knocked unconscious by Serge Ibaka. I mean, Serge Ibaka came in trying to get a rebound, hit Kawhi with an elbow to the face, and Kawhi crumpled, bleeding from the mouth, but it looks like he's going to be okay. I haven't heard anything about an injury yet, so it looks like he's going to be okay. Nicholas Batum, once again, played 36 minutes, man. 13 points, 10 rebounds. He had a good game. I still don't trust him. Serge Ibaka, aforementioned injuring Kawhi Leonard. He had 15 points, but he only had 2 rebounds in 20 minutes, which is strange for a center. Paul George, once again, another good game. Pandemic P. I'm just because you having a good regular season start does not mean I'm not gonna call you Pandemic P. Patrick Beverly had a good game. Now this I believe was the closest game of this is pretty much the closest game of the Christmas Day slate. You had four. Yeah, pretty much. You had three outright blowouts, and then you had two kind of blowouts. But Lemon Pepper Lou didn't also have really that good of a game. He only had 8 points. Luke Kennard had a better game. He shot better from the field, but he's not as I don't think he's as comfortable on this team yet. Now the Denver Nuggets themselves, I haven't had a chance to talk about them yet this year. Michael Porter Jr. is among the players who's going to be in contention for most improved player of the year. Let's see, 4 for 9, 2 for 6 from the 3-point line, 10 points. He has some he has some moments in this game, but he's not. I don't think he's there yet. I think he needs more minutes. I definitely think he needs more minutes. You had Nikola Jokic, Joker, and then you had Jamal Murray. Both had good games, 23 and 24 points. Nikola at 10 rebounds. This was an important game for the Los Angeles Clippers, but not so much for the Denver Nuggets. For the Denver Nuggets, it's going to be staying healthy. And their three young kind of star players, well, young superstar level players, and Michael Porter Jr., who's kind of like a young upcoming star. A lot of people see a lot in him. So there is going to be developing those three guys. For the Clippers, them losing this game would have been disastrous for their confidence. It's going to be like, hey, this team's got our number kind of thing. So it's going to be pretty much them kind of. Let's see if these two teams can grow the hell up. Now, I don't really want to talk much more about the Clippers. It's not something that really, eh. but they are one of the more interesting teams in the NBA. So I'm gonna have to talk about them a lot this year, even though I'm not overly fond of the players on this team. Kawhi Leonard needs to. I hope he's okay, but he needs to show up in the playoffs. He's in that conversation for best player in the world. So another year of you having the responsibilities of leading your team to a championship and everyone expecting you to lead your team to a championship. And if you don't, man, that's gonna come hard. That's gonna come down heavy on your head. And Doc Rivers and Pandemic P caught most of the flack for that. No debacle in the playoffs. But you got away relatively scot free. I know some people saying you caught some smoke. You got away relatively scot free. So I hope you really know what you're doing, man. I hope you can stay healthy the whole year, and I hope you run into the Lakers in the playoffs because I don't think you have anywhere near what it mean anything whatsoever that's going to be able to beat the LA Lakers. You still don't have a point guard, and you still don't have a rim protector who worries me because I don't think Ibaka can guard Anthony Davis and Paul George and Kawhi. You're not the defenders you used to be. So we'll see. That's it for the Christmas Day slate. Next slate is last night's games on the 26th. You had the Atlanta Hawks and the Memphis Grizzlies in a shootout. You had Steph. I'm saying Steph Curry, Trey Young and Ja Morant go at it all night long. Trey Young 10 for 24. He only hit 1 3, but he had 36 points, 15 points from the free throw line. And then you take a look at Ja Morant. He went once again 10 for 21. He hit 2 threes. He had 28 points. But these two kind of battled all night long, and it's great to see two young point guards really go at it. Grayson Allen's the starting two guard on this team, which I was okay with. I'm not sure how I feel about Grayson Allen yet, but the Atlanta Hawk team looked okay. They still got some growing to do if they want to get into the playoff picture, but they beat a potential playoff team last night. A team that could have that if the NBA hadn't gone into lockdown probably would have made the playoffs last year. And I hope they get better. I hope this team evolves. I hope Cam Reddish gets better because he didn't have a good game. DeAndre Hunter and John Collins both had okay games. I think you lead a little more scoring from the two of them. Bogdanovich didn't have a good game. He went 2 for 10, 1 for 9 from the 3 point line. You're definitely gonna need more from him if you want to make the playoffs. Now, the next game of the night, I believe, was OKC and the Charlotte Hornets. Now, OKC won this game 109-107 behind a game-winning shot from Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Now, SGA, he's going to be the primary focus on this team. He's going to be their franchise player. Didn't have a good shooting night, but played a good game. 7 rebounds, 9 assists. He had 24 points. He was only 8 for 20 from the field, 1 for 6 from the 3 point line. But he's got some experienced guys on this team. George Hill, 8 for 9, 4 for 4 from three. He had 21 points. Mike Muscala had 14 points. You know, this Al Horford did not have a good game, but you brought them in for more of their experience than anything else. And for the Charlotte Hornets, um, I'm not exactly sure what's up with this team. I know Terry Rozier had like 42 points in their opening night game against. I'm trying. Was it against? I believe it was against OKC. No, it was against Cleveland. They lost that game, 121-114. But we'll see. I think they're a good team. LaMelo Ball once again didn't start, but he had 13 points after scoring virtually nothing in his opening game. But he only played 15 minutes, which is gonna be interesting because I did pick LaMelo Ball for my rookie of the year, but the way it's going right now, that rookie of the year is going to go to James Wiseman because LaMelo, I don't think he's going to play enough. He's going to be behind Terry Rozier and Devontae Graham pretty much all year. So he's coming off the bench unless he could take the job from one of those two. But he had a good game. He had a good sophomore, kind of a good second night outing for them. Next game, the Orlando Magic and the Washington Wizards. You know, Russell Westbrook having his he had a triple double in his opening night and a triple double tonight. The Orlando Magic won this game 130 to 120. Bradley Beal had 39 points. Russ Westbrook had a very bad shooting night, 6 for 19, which is going to happen with Russ. He's not a great shooter. Denny Advia only had, he only put up 2 shots, but he didn't miss anything. But I think I've seen a little bit of some of the highlights. I haven't really been able to watch the game. I've seen a little bit of highlights, and he looks good. And then the Orlando Magic, a couple guys got some new contract. Markelle Fultz, 21 points. He's also another guy who's going to be in the running for most improved player. Nikola Vucevic is probably on the trade block. So is Aaron Gordon. Terron Ross gave you 25 in 28 minutes off the bench. Cole Anthony, another young rookie guard. He was he had 9 points in 15 minutes. But the real thing is, for me, it's Markelle Fultz, averaging 18, 4, and 6. 18, 5, and 6. Sorry, averaging 18, 5, and 6 this year. His debut against the Orlando Magic, 2-0 right now. They won against the Miami Heat on their opening night on the 23rd and won again against the Washington Wizards on Saturday night. And he looks good, man. 31 in 29 minutes, 21 and 15 points. He didn't hit a 3, but he's going to be very much in the conversation for most improved player, and I feel like he's just getting more and more comfortable. That's all he really needs, to get more and more comfortable. Next, you got the Houston Rockets and the Portland Trailblazers, who had basically a shootout. 128 to 126. Portland 128. Houston 126. James Harden playing his first game of the year. He had a great game. 44 points, 17 assists, 12 for 22 from the field, 6 for 13 from 3. That's just who he is, man. That's just who he is. And you had a lot of guys got hit with the COVID bug. So they got tested, and a couple guys I think tested positive. So their opening night game got against, I believe it was the Wizards, got canceled. Well, got postponed because they didn't have the requisite 8 players to play the game. But Christian Wood gave you 31 points. He looks great. You didn't get a chance to see John Wall and DeMarcus Cousins because neither of them were with the team. Once again, because of the testing. So we'll see. But James looked great as usual. But James is still in a lot of trouble because a video surfaced of James Harden partying without a mask at a strip club. James, what are you doing, man? I know you don't want to be in Houston anymore, but man, it's a pandemic. You cannot be out here with no mask, man. God, I just don't get it. James Harden is the most empowered player in the league, more empowered than LeBron James. Anything the Houston Rockets, anything he wants the Houston Rockets to do, they do. He didn't want to play with Dwight Howard anymore. They got rid of Dwight Howard. He didn't want to play with Chris Paul or not. They got rid of Chris Paul. He didn't want to play with Russell Westbrook anymore. Russell Westbrook's gone, and now he wants to be traded, which is fine. You could ask to be traded all you want, but he's got a list of teams he wants to go to, which is not going to work out for him because, man, you got 3 years left on your deal. Wherever they send you is where you're going to play for 2 years, basically. And then his just rampant, disregard for the COVID protocols is setting a bad example not only for the guys on his team, but the rest of some of the younger players in the NBA. Well, if James can do this, why can't I do it? James, I need you to get your head out of your ass. That's what I need from you. Now, for the Portland Trailblazers, they're kind of healthy for the first time in over a year. CJ McCollum had 44 points. Damian Lillard had 32. Excuse me. Just yawning. My bad. But they looked good. Once again, not exactly the greatest defensive team in the league, but the Houston Rockets aren't exactly a slouch on offense either, so they had a good game. The trick for them is, can they stay healthy? And can they really perform? Because Gary Trent Jr. just got back. Rodney Hood's back. Yusef Nurkic is back. So the real question is, can this team stay healthy? And can they play winning basketball? Now, I know some people are saying they're going to be the top 5 in the Western Conference. I do not believe that. Top 5 or 6 in the Western Conference. They're probably going to end up either 6 or 7. I think there are a couple other teams who are better than them in the Western Conference. But that's that. Today, is that's enough for basketball. I'm gonna delve into the NFL real quick. Today is obviously NFL Sunday, so I'm gonna take a look at some of the games on today's slate. Now, for those of you who do not know, I am a New England Patriots fan. I don't think I've ever mentioned it on the show, but yes, I am a New England Patriots fan. Yes, Lord have mercy on my soul. Yes. I know. I'm a terrible, terrible human being, and I deserve to burn in hell. But unfortunately, that's just how it is. Now, we had a couple games already go off the clip. I haven't watched any football right now. I caught some of the I just caught some of the Kansas City Atlanta game that just finished while I was doing the podcast right now. So some of the games that have already come off the slate, Miami 26-15 against the Las Vegas Raiders. The 49ers beat the Arizona Cardinals 20-12. Tampa Bay decimated the Detroit Lions 47-7. New Orleans beat the Minnesota Vikings 52-33. Baltimore beat the Giants 27-13. Cincinnati beat the Texans 37-31. Jesus God, Houston, you should have got rid of Bill O'Brien before he got rid of DeAndre Hopkins. Chicago beat up on Jacksonville Jaguar 41-17. Like I said earlier, the Kansas City Chiefs beat the Atlanta Hawks 17-14, which is uncharacteristically slow scoring game for them. The Pittsburgh Steelers beat the Indianapolis Colts 28-24. And looks like another game just finished. Yeah, the Cleveland Browns just lost to the New York Jets 23-16. Good God. We've got on Monday Night Football, we got the New England Patriots against the Buffalo Bills. Patriots eliminated from playoff contention. The Green Bay Packers and the Tennessee Titans are playing later tonight. The Seahawks and the LA Rams game is about to kick off. The Dallas Cowboys, them Cowboy fans, and the Philadelphia Eagles, they're about to play. Their game is about to tip off, and the Rams and Broncos game just kicked off. Same thing with the Washington football team and Carolina Panthers. Their game also just kicked off. The Rams Broncos is already 3 up. Rams up 3. That's pretty much it. I might talk about the NFL weekend, probably on Tuesday when the next episode comes up. But other than that, ladies and gentlemen, this is episode 5. Sorry about that. This is episode 5 of the SJP Files. Now, today is definitely a shorter episode than I normally do, only an hour long, but depends on pretty much the episode lengths, depend pretty much on what I want to talk about. When it comes to the NBA, I'm not going to talk about every single game that happens every single night. It's just a matter of which games interest me and which players interest me. Now, that's how I personally feel. So that's pretty much how I'm going to run the pod. So I already talked about, basically spent the last hour talking about all the things that interest me, a little bit of football. There's no real baseball news. Other than that, thank you very much for listening to episode 5 of the SJP podcast. You can find me on Twitter at the SJP Files, Instagram at the Soapbox Smart. You can find these episodes up on YouTube at the SJP Chronicles. You can also find me on Facebook at my name, Stavins Pierre. Thank you very much for listening and see you in a couple days. Thank you very much.